And then I resigned my job in TSMC. I mean, as you said, it was a good job. It was a high-paying job. In fact, it was one of the highest-paying job in Taiwan. But I had no dilemma to resign because I had that clarity in mind that money is not going to buy me happiness. Above all, do something unique. Only self-driven passion can get you far.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of On the Go podcast. Today, we are joined with Anand PV. We have known each other for a couple of years now. The first time I think we interacted was for an internal project in our company, but later we got to know each other better while we were working on a separate personal project, basically his project, and he asked me to edit a video for a self-driving car related project, and that's how we got to know each other. And so I would like to welcome Anand PV to this podcast. Thank you for accepting the invitation and being here with me, and welcome to On the Go podcast.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It was so exciting to get your invitation, especially a non-technical chat like this. I'm so privileged.
Before we go deep into the things that you've done, your experience and things like that, can you just introduce yourself to my audience, those who don't know you, so that they get to know you better? So can you just introduce yourself?
Sure, sure. So I'm Anand. I'm basically from Kerala, a southern state in India. And I have done MTech in computer science from IIT Bombay. After that, I worked in TSMC. It was in Taiwan, a city called Hsinchu, for around 7 years. After that, I had a short stint with UPSC civil services examinations also. Then I came back to Kerala due to some personal reasons, where I upskilled myself in AI. I built a portfolio myself. I learned AI myself. I took up a job as a VP in AI and data science in an incubator of startups. And there I played different kinds of roles. Like I was in the sales team. I was working as a delivery manager. I was working as a team lead. Different roles I worked there. And then now I am back as an IC role in KLA. KLA is I mean, for those who don't know about KLA, it is a semiconductor company. It is in the semiconductor industry where I'm supposed to do the AI R&D stuff. I mean, as part of my job.
I would like to start with a kind of like a philosophical question.
Yeah.
So the first question that I want to ask is about your why. So you had a
About
good
my.
job in IBS. About your why,
Okay,
your
sure, sure.
purpose.
Okay.
So how you navigate different aspects of your of your why. So what I mean by that is that in the beginning of your career you had a good job as a software engineer in IBS. So you left that to then study MTech. Then you had a great job in Taiwan, and you were in one of the biggest semiconductor foundry in the world, working as PM, research analyst, and team lead. And then you left that to prepare UPSC. So you had good, what do you say, reasons to do that. But my question is, how do you weigh the reasons, or weigh the options and choose what is the best? So yeah, that's the question. How do you choose what's worth it or not?
It was not an easy decision, I would say, and there is no single reason. I actually always wanted to do something different, something more meaningful in life as part of work. Secondly, I wanted to study. I like to study. Like, for instance, when I was working in TSMC, as you said, it was a good job. However, when I saw the syllabus of UPSC and the prospects of UPSC, especially when I saw the syllabus, right, I got so much interested to study. So I right away, the next day, I mean, one day I saw the syllabus, next day I ordered the books. I bought the books and I started reading. That was how it started. Though I had to, kind of buy the books from India and import it to Taiwan and all that. I mean, I used to do all that stuff, right? It was interesting for me. I mean, the studying aspect of it and doing something different. But going backwards in my life, at the beginning of my career, I started with software development. I mean, it was in IBS, right? So I was in the software development side, Java, Swing, and all that. Then, but I did not find much interest in pure developmental work. I used to love computers. I still love, but I did not find much interest in the software development kind of work. I wanted to do something more interesting. more interesting, as in a combination of research and something practical, where something is, like some mysterious things are there, which are something which is mysterious but as practical also to implement, right? So that is the reason I joined for MTech. And after MTech, I thought, okay, I will get more research kind of work. And in fact, it was true also, because when I got job in TSMC, there were some elements of research in IPS while doing the Java software development. There was absolutely no element of research. It was all straightforward. I won't say boring, but it was not so interesting for me. So after doing MTech in computer science and after getting a job in Taiwan, I got more, slightly more interesting work. It had some elements of research, but the focus was more on the delivery and the delivery side of it, customer side of it, and development was taken. I mean, it was not academia stuff, right? So I had to do a lot of development, and it was more or less the same. That's what I wanted to say. I was kind of disillusioned by all those things, and I wanted to try out something totally different in a totally different domain. That is how I chanced upon UPSC, and because I like to study, I just started off it. And then I resigned my job in TSMC. I mean, as you said, it was a good job. It was a high paying job. In fact, it was one of the highest paying job in Taiwan. But I had no dilemma to resign because I had that clarity in mind that money is not going to buy me happiness. I wanted to do something more exciting. Actually, on the day of resignation in TSMC, I was actually very happy and I was so excited that I'm going to study for UPSC. That was how it was. So and to be honest, I mean, there was backup as well because in the worst case, what will happen? I mean, I can always come back to the computer science field, right? I had the backup. I mean,
Yeah.
I had backup in my mind, and I love computer science as a field. So it was not that risky, and it was the right time to take risk. I mean, I think one should take more risk in their 20s. I think most of your audience will be in the range of 20 to 35, right? So
They would relate more, but more importantly, I would, I also relate it relate with this very much because I am also in this age group and going through my mid 20s, as you said.
true, true.
So yeah,
So that's what
risk
I was
taking
talking.
up.
I was talking for your audience as well as you. It is a time to take risk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like you were saying, you went from tech to non-tech, then from then you went from non-tech, then coming back into tech. So there were multiple industries, multiple domains. You worked with
So
different
many
aspects of
switches.
the
Yeah.
industry. So many switches. Yes. So I've studied electrical and electronics engineering, and during the study itself, I found my interest in like programming and developing things. So I and started developing on side and got a job as a software engineer. So one of my like, but I still have some interest in electrical and playing around with electronics and stuff like that. So one day I was talking with my friend and uh, I was thinking about why not why not try to switch to an electronics job, just for fun. There were two things that he said. One was that a you would have to start from scratch when you're switching a job to a new industry, and b switching a job is a bad remark on your CV, and it doesn't look good. So, what is your thought on in these two reasons of for not switching an industry?
Interesting question. But instead of answering that question, I would say we should not even think on those lines because you should not do something just because it will look good on your CV, or you should not restrain from doing something because it will look bad on your CV. You should not think like that. Life is actually larger than your CV, right? One should do
Yeah,
something that he wants to do. I
yeah,
mean, but it's a common thought. It's nobody's fault because our society and the education system it tries to make us more and more job ready. But actually,
yeah,
education is not for that. Education is to gain knowledge, not to get a job somewhere. So that should be the angle of thought. In fact, we should not crave for jobs. We should do things. We should become so good that companies will crave to hire you. That should be the attitude. So forget about your CV. Do what you want to do. But for that to happen, you have to like You have to find your passion because the job is something, like how much time do you spend on your job? Almost like 50% or maybe like 70, 80% of your, the time you are awake, 70, 80% you spend on your job, right? I mean, at least in IT, it is like that. So what you do should be exciting. You should feel good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will not spend more time. And if you don't spend more time, you will not accept. Yeah. So the second question that you asked, do we need to start from the scratch? I mean, changing from the computer science to electrical and
Yeah.
all that. I don't think you need to start
Yeah.
from the scratch because all disciplines are interrelated. Yeah, I mean, within engineering and outside engineering also, disciplines are all interrelated. Even the subjects are interrelated. So it is all about becoming more familiar with the discipline and apply your logic. Logic is all the same, right? It remains the same. So just get familiar with the discipline and apply your logic. Get familiar with the discipline, get the fundamentals, apply the same logic. You will get. I mean, it's the same result, the same learning. But one thing more I will add here is that I think you should jump the field. Jump may not mean like you should totally go to electrical field, but you can do something in electrical. Use your computer science knowledge and find the synergy, right? Because most of the innovations
Mm.
happen at the intersection of disciplines. So if
Yeah.
you take if you see successful people, I mean, they are mostly like polymaths. They are not into one discipline. They are experts in multiple fields, right? If you see the history,
Yeah.
there are many people we can talk about. I mean, you can think about Leonardo da Vinci, right? We know him as an artist, Mona Lisa and all that. But I mean, he was a real polymath. He was into anatomy. He used to dig up bodies from the ground, to study anatomy. That was a kind of inquisitiveness that he had. Many other people, Aristotle, like even the contemporaries like Steve Jobs, right? Elon Musk, everybody. I mean, we don't need to compare to them, but we can take some cues as to how they succeeded, how they innovated. We can get some cues from there. So I believe you should try out different fields and find intersections and find synergies.
There is a general saying that you should go deep into jack of all trades, master of none. You have heard that
Generalist.
quote, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
generalist, yeah. So being an expert versus generalist point of view,
Mhm.
what is your take on this?
Okay, it's a
Like
very good
generalist versus
question.
expert.
It's a very good question. I would say your learning should be like a T, the shape of alphabet T you can imagine. The top side should be broad. You have to try out different things within discipline and outside discipline also, right? Even in computer science, AI, IoT, all these things are different. Outside also you can try. So you should broaden your horizons and at the same time find your interest and zoom in on one. The length T is the depth that you need. So there should be enough breadth so that you understand different things. You can find or you can look out for synergies. You know about it all, and you will get better idea as to what you really like, and then zoom in on one or two, right, or more as you find the synergies.
Yeah, yeah.
So your learning should be like alphabet T. That's my take.
One of the common like return question that we would normally get in this age is that the examples that we quote, that you quoted, and normally anyone would quote, are often stated as anomalies and not the general idea. So, quoting you itself, so the people that you chose, Steve Jobs, Da Vinci, or Bill Gates, or Zuckerberg, or anyone, all those are stated as anomalies and not the general idea. Even in your case, I saw your CV, and it's very impressive because you are like in like all in all most of the entrance exam you are in top 100, like even Gate. Uh, just I mean, Gate just came on top of the head, but there are all the other entrance exams, and you are on most of them. You are on the top 100. You cleared UPSC exams twice on the consecutive years. So I would say, don't you think that there is a concept of anomalies versus what generally happens and the person's capacity to choose. So what's your take on that?
Um, See, I would say don't go by the resume. Resume is always for boasting, right? I mean, I scored decent in some exams, that is true, but I had my failures as well, right? So I believe that failures are better in life and it should come early. Fail fast, right? Then you will learn how to manage your failures, right? So success is not the only stepping stone. Actually, failure is. And I had my pieces of failure in life. UPSC also, yeah, I have gone to the interview round twice consecutively. That is true. But however, I could not make it to the final thing because of some discrepancy and something happened in my personal life. So it all boils down, I mean, to multiple things, not one, not only your dedication or, like how good you are and all that. So uh, forget about success and failure. Just do what you can do. Secondly, I was not talking about like they being anomaly, we also should become one, right? In fact, you can become an anomaly. That is true. But however, we can always study those people, right, and find a pattern in them, that how they became successful. Because I mean, they are also humans. They are not superhumans, right? And
Yeah,
I mean, they will have their individual strength. That is true. But if you can find some pattern out of their lives, then it can give you some cues, some hints as to what made them successful, right? I talked about finding the intersection, right, or finding intersection of discipline and they being polymath and all. See, the reason they being polymath is also because of their inquisitiveness, their intellectual quotient, and all that, right? Elon Musk reads so many books from all the different kinds of discipline. There's multiple degrees and all that. So that is because of his intellect. So we cannot, just develop an intellect, but we always have the mindset to, you know, to learn more. We can develop that habit to learn more, be more inquisitive, be self-taught. Everything is now available in the internet nowadays. There is nothing stopping you, right?
yeah,
There are so many
yeah.
opportunities. There are so
Uh,
many material available if you want to learn, if you can put in effort. So find patterns, learn from the good people. Though you cannot totally emulate them, but you can certainly find patterns and create your own pattern and try to become an anomaly.
You're working in as a project manager, research analyst in Foundry, and then after the break, after the, not the break, after the UPSC attempt, you came back into AI. So that's a totally another industry, right? So the question here is, how did you go about gaining skills in AI, or how can someone like me who doesn't know anything about AI think about, okay, how can I develop a skill in this area?
Before answering that question, right? I mean, before talking about how do we gain the necessary skill, I think the first thing that you need to decide is what you want to do. This decision is the most important because you are going to spend a lot of time on it. So, I mean, I was into non-tech and I was into UPSC civil, so history, geography, yeah, public administration, and all that stuff. But finally, I decided when I came back to tech field, I decided for AI. And that
Mm.
decision was not because that I expected AI will do good in the market in future. It was not at all because of that. I mean, it so happened, and the AI now is at the peak of the hype. But at that time, it was, I mean, there was not much hype about it. It was just a new domain or a rekindled domain. I mean, AI, as you know, it was there in 1990s and 2000s, right? So it was like a rekindled
Yeah.
field. There was not much of hype about it. So I started AI only because I had genuine interest in AI. I mean, back in 2005 itself, before my MTech and all that, I used to code AI algorithms, like similar to AI algorithms, you can say, not the deep learning kind of the AI algorithm, but deep learning, in fact, started in 2012. So this was in 2005. I used to write games and, I mean, indoors, like Windows. That time, Windows was also there. I think you
Yeah.
know you
Yeah.
know about it, right? So yeah, I used to write
Yes. Yes.
game programming. I used to write AI algorithms like game theory, right? The algorithms in
Yes.
game theory, like min-max algorithm, alpha beta pruning, search trees. I used to make tic tac toe and all those games, multiplayer games indoors. wherein you can play with the computer. So who will play for the computer? The AI algorithm will play for the computer. It will search all the chances and it will make the gain tree, prune what is not required, and find the best and play the game, right? So I was even almost like 2 decades back, I was interested in the field. That is why I used to do that. There was no commercial interest, there was no entrepreneurial interest, but I just did it for my sake. So
Yeah.
only because of that genuine interest, I started learning AI. I mean, just to come back. So the coming back thing was not because of the prospects that I found. And I mean, I'm not an astrologer. I could not find that. I did not know that it is going to be of this much high. Secondly, I loved
Yeah.
the math behind AI. I mean, it was very interesting to me when I started learning. I found it like the deep learning models were kind of mysterious to me. Right? It was mysterious enough that I wanted to unfold them. There was something more to explore. So I wanted to unfold the mystery and know how it works and know like what more it can do. Right? Compare it with software development, it is more like, okay, you have a class, you assign some variables, you take out those variables, you modify those variables. I mean, it is okay for people who really like it. I have total respect to them. But it did not interest me as such. Maybe it is my problem. But this one was more mysterious, and there was more math involved, and it was exciting again. I mean, after UPSC, it excited me. So that is why I started learning. So the takeaway here is that you should not do something because it is gonna be in the market. It's gonna be hot in the market. Because nowadays I get a lot of questions from a lot of people. I get phone calls also. People are asking me like, how do they start AI? How do they start learning AI? I'm not sure how many of them really love AI versus how many of them want to do AI because it is hot in them. You
Yeah.
should be in the former than latter. So that is my point. And secondly, about how to learn, right? That is a very important question because when you are totally new to field, you don't have anybody to talk to. How to start? Firstly, you decide your passion. Uh, you can read about multiple discipline. You can read the blogs. You can join some preliminary courses on it and find one and find a discipline that you want to work on. Okay. For that, you can join some courses. There are so many courses available, right? Udemy it is there, Coursera it is there, edX platforms, Udacity, so many others. So you can just get a taste of the subject by taking those courses. You will never become an expert by taking those courses. There is one good course by Andrew NG, which everybody takes in Coursera, right? In, the machine learning stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody takes it, but it will not make you an expert, but it will give you the taste of the subject. So if you like the taste, then it is always good to join one course where you can get some mentors. I mean, it is not exactly to teach you something, but it is mainly to get your answers, get your doubts cleared. It may not be a single man, it may be a team, but it is very important that you learn, you ask questions yourself, you you know formulate the doubts, ask somebody, a mentor, and get your doubts cleared. That is the only way you can become an expert in the field. Otherwise, the doubts will linger on. So it's okay to join a course. It's okay not to join a course if you have some other mentor. Let's say you are a student, right? You are in some university. You have a
Yeah.
very good professor whom you can ask doubts. Then that is also fine. It is actually better, right? So find
Yeah.
someone to clear your doubts. That's a second point, I would say. Thirdly, uh, don't drown in theory. Be hands-on because otherwise it is never going to end. For me, I mean, I started off
Yeah.
with Udemy. I mean, just to taste the courses like the Coursera stuff. After that, I thought, okay, I will learn the fundamentals and I will become strong in the theory. I started off with the Stanford course CS221 by Andrew Ng. I mean, it just blew my head off. I took so much time, and I mean, there was so much of theories. The equations will never end. I won't say it was a mistake, but it was not required. If you are not going to be in quote unquote research, if you are not going to be in academia, then it is not required. It is important to understand the math behind every algorithm from the first principle. But it is more important or equally important to be hands on in that field. So if you learn an algorithm,
Yeah.
try to implement it, face the real world problem. That is very important. And further, after doing all that, like maybe you have learned 50% of the fundamentals, right? So by that time, you can start picking new problems, some creative problems, some maybe a new data set, and try to solve it your way. Then, in addition to that, you can start blogging. It is easier to say, but it is difficult to do consistently. You may write your first blog, and then maybe for 6 months you won't write. So because you don't know what to write, right? That is a common problem. So I would say when you learn itself, you can start blogging what you learned. Maybe at the end of the week, or maybe forget about the periodicity. Just when you think that you learned something solid, a good topic. For instance, PCA. If you understood PCA, you are fascinated about it, you write about PCA, right? Just blog about PCA. It may not be of too much value for others. Maybe some beginners will gain something out of it, but it will start your blogging journey. It will change your mindset. It will form your habit, right? After that, when you pick up more and more problems yourself and solve it yourself, do projects yourself, you can write about those projects. That is going to be really valuable for others, right? While doing that, once you do this for, let's say, 6 months, right? 6 months or 1 year, then this itself will become a portfolio in itself, right? The projects that you have done, the learnings that you have done, the followers that you have, right? This will speak for itself, right? I mean, it's important to do good, and it's important to become a magnet to others, that they will approach you. That is true, but how they will know? They should also know, right? So it's important to keep others updated what you are doing differently, what you have created as a project, right? So GitHub, Medium, LinkedIn profile. If possible, try to start a YouTube channel also, right? uh, it is difficult. You have to do update it regularly and all that. With technology content, it is difficult to sustain that long. But create one YouTube channel as well. It will do good in the long term. Then one important thing that you can do as a student or otherwise, right? I mean, you can always form a team of like-minded individuals and work together. The projects that I have done, right, mostly they are like POCs, you can say. It's not a product, or it's not a huge project, right? You don't need a team, but you can take up really challenging projects uh, from multiple disciplines also. If you have a team from diverse disciplines, for instance, if you have a team of computer science engineers, electrical engineers, and like electronics or mechanical, you can actually combine all these things and make a very good project. That's it. By that way, you will also learn more. You can everybody will have a better project to show off in their portfolio. Right? That is another way to learn, and you can also participate in hackathons and competitions in the domain, and that will also help. In short, I will say do something unique, something different from others. That is very important. You cannot just take something like a house, what is that, house trend prediction using machine learning and write on your resume. I have seen many resumes like that, but it will not add any value. In fact, it is negative. You will think that, okay, his knowledge is limited to that much only, just copy from something. Right? So it is important to do something unique. For instance, it is better to exemplify. So long back, I have done a project on a self-driving car. So there were innovative solutions in that. I won't say innovative, but it was different kind of solutions in that, wherein I derived some equations myself. So this has helped me in my interviews, because when I explain the projects and when they see the equation, they will ask me to explain the equation. So then I can say how I derive those equations. So that will actually show off your creativity, right? It may not be. I mean, you don't need to be so intelligent to do that, but it will show off your creativity, ingenuity, right? Secondly, doing something different doesn't always mean technical. It can be non-technical as well. That will also have value. For instance, in the same project, I fetched data, my own data. It was a self-driving car, so it was. It was running on foreign roads. The car was running on foreign roads, and Indian roads are so different, right? Indian roads are absolutely totally different. I wanted to know how it will work on Indian roads and what is the difference. So what I did, I
Yeah.
took a phone. I just fixed my phone on the windshield of the car, and I drove around uh, my hometown, right? Along different roads, I drove around. I recorded the video. And I mean, I recorded the video of the road, the video of the clutch, brake, and all that thing, and I used those video clips to, I mean, integrate it with the projects that I have done, and I made it kind of uh, more interesting, I would say. Right. So that is, if you think about it, that is not highly technical, but it will give that uniqueness, something you have done, right? Different from others. That will be more interesting for others.
Yeah.
And yeah, in future, this is to start in a particular domain, but further, you need to like update your domain knowledge. You have to do read state of the art research, and you need to refresh your fundamentals periodically, and all that. That will help. Right. It was a long answer. I'm sorry, but it was an important question. Uh, I mean, to just to summarize for the benefit of audience, it is about firstly selecting the tech domain. Secondly, finding a mentor, right? Then doing some hands-on projects. Find a team, find a group of like-minded individuals, and maybe start blogging, making a LinkedIn profile and GitHub profile, right? And participate in competitions, hackathons, and above all, do something unique, right? Only self-driven passion can get you far. That's my point.
Thank you so much for taking time out to listen to this episode. Hope you have found this podcast useful. Do drop a comment if you felt the same. Thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.
But UPSC was a failure, I would say. I mean, not in terms of learning, but in terms of outcome. I won't say health is priority number one and work is second, but yeah, I think both should go hand in hand. But if I have to pick one among the two, I will pick health over anything, right? But having said that, it's not easy, because if you burn a drone and if you buy another one, you burn it again, then it is going to be difficult. For me, financial independence is equivalent to freedom.